For assignment 3 of Unit 16, Film and Video Editing Techniques, was to evidence being able to edit moving image material. I was lucky I had a friend that studied A-level media who was happy to give me all the raw footage secured for a film she created for her coursework. I purposely did not want her cut of the film as I did not want to see the way she edited her film, otherwise it would influence my editorial vision. I also took a copy of her shooting script and I read it through to make sense of it and to get a feel of what the story was about and what the characters are like. After I looked at the shooting script, I decided to take a look at the director's storyboard to learn about the way she plans to edit the film and how she imagines it to look like. Once I finished looking at the director's intentions for the edit, I undertook the line script. During a pre-production, a line script is where a line is drawn between each of the shooting sequences in the script and each important element in the sequence is highlighted. The editor demarks each shot running from the top to the bottom of a scene with a straight line, showing that the shot includes action in the scene, in a frame, and a wavy line indicates that the shot does not include certain action or dialogue. Once I finished the line script, I started to prepare myself for the physical editing. Certain software application that editors use to edit a film is essential. For all the other units, I use the software iMovie on the Apple Macs. This is an entry piece of software which allows basic cutting capacity, limited picture and sound adjustment, and some eye-catching preset title and text option. If I was to use this software, I wouldn't have met all the criteria for assignment 3 of Unit 16. Therefore, I had to learn how to use the software Avid Media Composer and industry standard editing package used by professionals. In terms of hardware, the workstation model is an HP XW8400. It's running Windows 7 Professional 64-bit. It has 2 dual-core Intel Xeon processors, 2.66 GHz quad-core. It has a primary hard drive, 250 gigabytes, with data transfer rate of 7,200 RPM. Media hard drive 320 gigabytes, with data transfer make of 7,200 RPM times 2, stripped together, which gives you 640 gigabyte storage. It has 10 to 12 gigabytes DDE2 for channel fully buffered DIMMS of PAM and NVIDIA Quadro FX 10500, 256 megabytes dual DUI graphics card. The Avid also has integrated HD audio. The film footage was shot on a Panasonic AVCHD SPAG HMC4IE, which gives full HD images. The resolution is always an important factor whether you are recording images on a camera or watching them on a screen. Resolution in digital media is measured in pixels. Pixels are the smallest unit of measurement used for information in digital picture. The word definition tells us about the amount of resolution in a particular image, either in terms of the aspect ratio of that image or the size and shape of the collected pixels in the image. The majority of the past of the 20th century, digital camcorders recorded in standard definition, which normally has an aspect ratio of 720 times 480-720 horizontal pixels by 480 vertical pixels. HD cameras, which are also known as high def or high definition, film higher resolution footage than standard definition camera. It films in 1280 times 720, which is also called 720p, or it is filmed in 1920 times 1080, which could either be called 1080p or 1080i. On contemporary camcorders, this is the highest resolution available. The extra digital info in a high-definition image creates a higher picture quality. This is why I use Avid suites to edit the footage on. Avid Media Composer allows editing and tendering of the edit and editorial effects on the timeline in an uncompressed form. Since I had to learn how to connect up to a standard definition mini DV camcorder to the Avid and how to digitize the footage from the mini FV tapes for assignment 2 of Unit 16, in the third assignment we only connected up the Panasonic AV-CHD camera to the computer using a USB connector and copied the videos onto the Avid's hard disk. These picture files can then be imported directly into a project bin in the program from the Media Composer file menu. Avid gives us a variety of options for exporting the finished edit. The options we have include exporting a video, exporting an AAF for third-party software, send sequence to Avid-based software for further processing, or AMA file export. I then was able to take advantage of an existing piece of software packaged with a composer called Avid DVD by Sonic. This let me author a DVD copy of my film. If I wanted to place the film on an external piece of storage, as a file supported export codecs and file formats include QuickTime codecs, AVI, and Windows Media. In my cut of the film, I had to effectively use a range of appropriate techniques. I had to ensure the seamless cutting together of clips to produce sequences. The word seamless is often used when evaluating edited sequences. Essentially, it means that across cuts and through cuts, action should flow so fluidly and naturally that we do not, as well as the audience, does not notice the cuts themselves. Seamless editing is sometimes called invisible editing as a result. Cuts are matched to the action happening in consecutive shots, and this produces the fluidity of realistic, real-time events. Another important factor closely linked is that of continuity. Continuity editing is the predominant style of film and video editing and dominates the editing of mainstream films. The main purpose of continuity editing is to try to conceal, as far as possible, inherent discontinuity of the editing process, by which we mean that a cut ends what would have been the continuation and development of a real-time sequence shot, and therefore continuity editing aims to establish a logical coherence between shots. When we use the term montage in film, we are usually referring to one of the two possibilities, either Soviet montage, the Kolchov effect, and the process of taking shots without the sound that they were originally recorded with and setting them to music. Usually to merge time, in my cut the nearest I come to montage happens at two different points in the film. The first being setting to the music of the drug taking scene, setting to music of the assault scene. In both respects, two shots are used in either sequence to constitute a veritable montage sequence. Jump cutting is an editorial technique made by famous French New Wave directors like Jean-Luc Godard, Alain Resais in films like Breathless and Hiroshima Mon Amour, respectively, which involves shooting action in two different shots without varying the shot distance or camera angle very much between those two shots. The result is a jolt when the two shots are cut together. We do not use jump cutting in our editing. We do use the technique parallel editing in two scenes. We had one scene of assault going on in one area of the location, which then cuts to a scene of two characters talking. My edit mainly consists of ensuring that the levels of diegetic dialogue and music were well balanced. I had to create 2 audio tracks to be able to include my audio music into my film without affecting the dialogue on the dialogue track. We didn't need to go over the parts in the film where dialogue was already being played. If I didn't create the new tracks for the audio, I would not have been able to include the music around without it ruining the dialogue. In my film, an example of this is that there is a scene at the beginning of the film of one of the characters, Molly, getting ready as her sister calls her to hurry up. We had a piece of music playing over the scene and also over the dialogue of the sister shouting. I didn't have to separate the track for this audio. The dialogue and the audio would not have been able to be played together at the same time. It's important for both dialogue and audio to be balanced in a film, as both are important. Rubber banding is also used in audio editing to help keep dialogue and audio balanced. You use the rubber banding by making sure the audio clip information is selected to the left on timeline, then making sure the volume option is ticked. You then insert keyframes around the area that you want to mix, and when you have put in your keyframes, you are able to rubber band the sound in that region. The process is called rubber banding because you are literally bending the volume of the audio of the track you are manipulating up and down. We use this feature to refine the off-camera dialogue line, "Molly, hurry up," so that although it was from a sound perspective point of view, in the distance it could still be heard clearly enough above the music. In a short film where, as filmmakers, we have 5 to 10 minutes in which to get through 3 acts conveying information effectively, is extremely important. In my film there are several examples of my efforts to do this. The first is our editorial decision to select close coverage of taking of the medication right at the start of the film to communicate the health issues and vulnerability of one of the principal female characters. Another example occurs at the close of the film. As an editor, I decided to cut away from the young man pinning down the young woman to the shot of an empty corridor, landing and door. This cut and the juxtaposition of 2 shots effectively communicates how isolated and cut off the young woman is and raises her state of vulnerability. At the very end, I decided to cut from the 2 sisters embracing to a shot of the young man leaning against the wall, looking to a distance, effectively communicating how the isolation has shifted from the sister, who is now feeling the comfort of her sibling, to the young man who is now feeling the guilt of his act. Sound can be used to produce enormous impact in a film. Counterpoint sound can be used to indicate a different meaning or association to the film we are seeing. At the beginning of my film, the music I have chosen suggests happiness and peace, when actually the truth is that the 2 sisters are emotionally distant from each other. So here the score is working in counterpoint to the visual action. The sound mixing was fairly basic. In the sound edit, I wasn't dealing with a large amount of audio tracks. I had a dialogue track and an audio track.